Every week I wake up and someone else resigns for some reason. It started with New Zealand. The Prime Minister all of a sudden resigns. And then Sturgeon from Scotland resigns. Now the CEO of YouTube resigns. It's very interesting. I'm not saying they're connected, but it's like, this is a little bit unnatural. Because you think everything is going fine and then it's not. Now, regarding the CEO of YouTube, it's very interesting because a lot of people in the community dislike her. I can't tell her if it's because of the meme or if they genuinely dislike her, but every single time someone got demonetized, someone's channel wasn't working properly, they would be like, oh, thank you, Susan. Thank you. Oh, Susan isn't letting me talk about it. Can I talk about it, Susan? It was a meme, right? And it's kind of hard to tell how many people liked her or not. But I have a feeling a lot of people are going to like her a lot after she steps down. Because usually, the new person that comes up is far worse. So we're going to look at the person that's going to replace her. And I'm telling you from now, best case scenario is that they are exactly like Susan. Worst case scenario is that they are worse than Susan. And I gotta say, out of all the social media platforms, so we're looking at TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube was actually the least censorious. I mean, Twitter maybe doesn't count since Elon Musk took over. But before that, YouTube was actually the least censorious platform. I had a conversation with Sargon today, and I said something that sent chills up his spine. Because he asked, how worse can YouTube get? And I said, Twitch. Just one word was enough to scare the living hell out of the man. It's true. I mean, go on Twitch and see what a horrible platform it is. Like, filled with toxicity, content creators that believe that they're colleagues. Like, holy shit. Right? So, there is a lot of room for turning the platform worse. Now, apparently, Susan posted this before resigning. Earlier today, I sent an email to employees announcing that I'd be stepping back from my role as the head of YouTube to start a new chapter focused on my family, health, and personal project I'm passionate about. In other words, this is PR speak for, I'm not telling you what I'm resigning. I have seen the exact framing in so many other resignations. It's not even funny. Like, I think like PR teams just like have this in a computer and they just copy paste it, right? So that they don't have to even bother clickety-clackety on the keyboard. There's two possibilities, right? Number one is that she doesn't want to do it anymore because she's seeing dark times ahead. Or number two, people at Google are not satisfied with the performance of YouTube. So they're not making enough money. And I can see that they were very desperate, especially in the last year, to push shorts. Like, they are incredibly desperate to turn YouTube into TikTok. I had the YouTube manager phoning me, phoning me on my phone. Right? And it's not his fault. Like, very nice guy, very well articulated, very nicely spoken. And it's like, oh, I'm going to help you improve your channel. Like, okay, make shorts. Naruhodo. But that level of desperation, like trying to push shorts so hard. It's interesting. What can I say? Because they're afraid of TikTok. I am willing to assume that because YouTube has become so boring as a platform, like trying to create content is very difficult. Like trying to remain within the advertising guidelines, trying not to break terms of service. It's very difficult to be funny. Like, take South Park, the first season. Put it on YouTube and apply the actual TOS and monetization status, you will not be able to monetize South Park. And like what? We're talking about a couple of decades ago, right? Like, but even like shows that came out like Postal, for example, the video game. I don't think like it would be allowed on YouTube if they apply the TOS. Like usually they pretend that, for famous things like GTA, South Park, like they're turning a blind eye. But if they were to apply the terms of service, like, holy shit, they would be taken down. So, I have seen creators that were very funny, very edgy, just being booted off the platform, to the point where the platform is like cable, right? So if it's like cable, most Zoomers are tuning into TikTok. And YouTube is a little bit afraid of that. Maybe the change in leadership is going to, reflect the problem that they haven't managed to push shorts as hard as they want to, that they're concerned. So my expectation is that the new CEO is going to try even harder. But apparently, Susan says that It has been the honor of my career to have a front row seat to the incredible YouTube community you have built. Your story of perseverance, creativity, and inspiration were a daily source of motivation and inspired me to advocate and steward for this community you all created. It was a constant highlight of my job to sit down with you, hear you were using the platform, and have your feedback. Sometimes what you said was tough and candid, but was important for me and the wider YouTube team to listen to do better. Today, the YouTube community is incredibly strong. You're building businesses and following your dreams. You will continue to have someone committed to building and advocating for creators at the helm of YouTube, longtime Chief Product Officer Neil Mohan. He will take over the leadership as a role. He's an excellent leader and understands this community and what you need today, tomorrow, and in the future better than anyone. I don't think he understands better than me, but okay. I plan to stay around for a period of time to help Neil with the transition and will serve as an advisor to Google and Alphabet. I remain just as convinced as today as when I started 9 years ago that YouTube's best days are ahead of it. From shorts, oh fucking hell, to podcasting, streaming, and subscriptions. Man, if you want me to tell you something about podcasting, okay, do you understand just how ridiculous some of your terms of service are? Like, you can have a conversation with a taxi driver and it's legal, but if you can put it on YouTube, it may be illegal. Boom, medical disinformation. Boom, election disinformation. You know, like stuff that's legal, but you're not allowed to say, right? So when you get a person on a podcast, you don't control what they speak. Like, I know the rules. I know what to say. That person doesn't, right? Like, he might be an edgy motherfucker. And all of a sudden, he says something, boom, TOS violation. Very difficult to do streaming and podcasting under these circumstances. Even like playing a video game. Like, I'm sure if I were to play a postal video game, I may get a lot of views. If I play a tabletop game where we're Nazi vampires in World War II going into the Soviet Union under Operation Barbarossa, I would get a lot of views. Donations. Would it violate the TOS? I mean, it would be brushing against it, right? So, that's the problem. Now, from behind the scenes, I understand what YouTube relationship with the advertisers are. Like, a lot of things that YouTube doesn't want. For example, something that upsets people recently is that you're not allowed to take family-friendly cartoons, like Courage the Cowardly Dog, for example, and put them into situations where it can be scary for children. So you're making a monster out of Courage the Cowardly Dog. This is something that Meat Canyons actually had to deal with it, and a couple of other content creators that had like children cartoons from back in the old days, like Ed, Ed and Eddie, and they had like a horror twist to them, right? And they got their channel taken on the demonetization system because you're not allowed to do it. Now, from what I understand, it's actually the companies that want that. So it's not YouTube per se. Like, YouTube just tries to avoid the situation that Twitter is going through, where you have advertisers pulling out en masse. Now, you can make the argument that, well, YouTube shouldn't do that or whatever, but I'm telling you where the ideas are coming from, right? They're not coming from YouTube, they're coming from the advertisers in some situations. When it comes to terms of service, like medical disinformation and other bullshit, it's coming from the government, right? Like, YouTube is usually concerned with the hate speech, with the inclusivity campaigns. Like, I'm not saying they're not censoring, right? They are. But it's like, there's different entities involved with different motivations. Like, imagine it like Game of Thrones, and there's different factions that want YouTube to censor different things. As a matter of fact, I happen to know behind closed doors that YouTube is very upset when the government tells them, like, okay, today you censored this, tomorrow you censored that. This is misinformation today, tomorrow it's not misinformation, the day after it, right? Like, they don't like it when the rules are changing constantly. Like, they would just, like, give me a list of things to censor. Let's censor that and just stop the fuck with this bullshit. But anyway, right, I digress. So who's the new CEO? Well, the new CEO is one Mr. Neil Mohan. I don't know much about him, but every single time I see him post, he's bragging about censorship. He's saying that latest third quarter in 2022, Community Guidelines Enforcement Report, in the third quarter, we removed 5.6 million videos for violating our policies. 94% of these videos were first flagged by machine. 67% were removed because they had more than 10 views. Yeah, the problem is that the policies keep expanding, right? Like, I have never seen policies go the other way around. It is so freaking difficult to actually study YouTube TOS. Like, the reason I know them is because I was there since the beginning, so they were added gradually. And you kind of get the hint of what is and what isn't allowed. But if a new person wanted to start YouTube today, Like, learning all of the terms of service of what you're allowed to do, then learning about the monetization, like what is advertiser friendly, what isn't. It's like studying a fucking book. In fact, they actually have a thing called YouTube Academia, where they're teaching people this. Because it's like so fucking complex. So yeah, like if you keep expanding them, no wonder that 5.6 million videos are being taken down in just 1/4 of the year. It's not the videos necessarily that may be the problem. It's like, well, the TOS is so large to the point where, as I mentioned before, you can have a conversation with a taxi driver or a hairstylist or a construction worker, and if you try to reproduce that on YouTube, it gets a strike. I don't think that's necessarily okay, given the fact that it's YouTube, right? Like you. But, well, it is what it is. So, I'm not really excited about this. Just want to say, I'm not hopeful that the future is going to be better. I just hope it's not going to get worse. But let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.